Welcome to The Chatter, your end of the week ear candy for what to eat, drink, see, and do in Richmond, Virginia, right damn now.
The Richmond Experience is independently owned and created by locals, us, for locals, you. From recent openings and the latest trends to time-tested traditions and hidden gems, we're here to help you experience the very best that RVA has to offer.
Hi, I'm Paige, RVA ex-owner and Chief Marketing Officer. I'm the face you see in front of the scenes on Instagram and TikTok, taking you to all the latest and greatest hotspots around town.
And I'm Kelsey, RVAX owner and editor-in-chief, working behind the scenes on your Wednesday and Thursday newsletters, The Weekly Insider and The Weekender, and City Guide.
Hey, Kels, I'm so excited.
I'm so excited too. We have another guest joining us on the podcast today, Dr. Sarah Kranz-Ciment, who I will give a quick introduction for, and then we can get talking. Dr. Sarah Kranz-Ciment is a pediatric physical therapist, social advocate, and executive director of both Friendship Circle of Virginia and New Patterns ABA. With over 15 years of experience, she has led national and international disability inclusion efforts, including the Shabbat Inclusion Initiative, supporting 4,500 centers worldwide, and the Jewish Orthodox Feminist Alliance, which promotes gender equity and inclusive participation in Jewish life. Sarah holds a doctorate in physical therapy, a master's in Jewish nonprofit leadership, and serves on the Disability Committee of Jewish Federations of North America. A proud mom of 5, she is committed to creating inclusive communities where every person feels they belong and are meaningfully connected. Dr. Kranz-Ciment, welcome. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you so much. And I'm sorry you had to read all that out loud.
That's okay. Every time we get through like an introduction, I realize like I gotta like prep myself a couple of times to make sure I'm like, I'm taking enough breaths.
I appreciate it. I'm really glad to be here, and I love chatting with girls. I'm excited to be here and just talking about all the good things coming up on our end of Friendship Circle. And I really appreciate the opportunity for you guys to have us on. So thank you.
Yes, we're very excited too. And we're really excited to hear more about the organization and the event in particular that we're going to be talking about that's coming up toward the end of June. So do you want to give us a little bit more background about the Friendship Circle first?
Absolutely. So as mentioned, I've been the executive director of Friendship Circle since we started here in Richmond, Virginia. We started, I want to say almost 12, 13 years ago, somewhere in that range. And we are a very small but mighty team. We are growing. We now have like 1 full-time person and like 3 part-time people. So we are getting there. And that's kind of amazing because really Friendship Circle has been growing by leaps and bounds and has done so much in the community. And for a small but mighty team, we are really proud of what we've been able to do and humbled to be able to do this for the community. So the shortest version is kind of our tagline, and it sounds a little fluffy when I say it, but our tagline is building an inclusive community, one friendship at a time. And so when I say it sounds fluffy, it's because it's nice, but what does that really mean? And what we've learned is really that inclusion has so many different meanings to so many different people, right? It depends what your background is, where you're coming from, what your experiences have been. And what we've learned is that inclusion, you can talk about it. We can all have the best intentions, but until you actually get to know someone and you spend time with them and you get to listen and you hear and you understand and you just have fun or you just get to know someone, suddenly your perspectives and your opinions and your experiences change. And that's actually how inclusion happens. So this idea of friendship is about connection. It is about understanding. It is about spending time. So we have different programs at Friendship Circle that create these connections in the community between people with disabilities, usually children and young adults, together with, we used to say people without disabilities, and that is still true, mostly teenagers in the community, and we bring them together. So our kids and young adults with disabilities together with teenagers in the community. And when I say that we used to say that they don't have disabilities, it's because 1 out of every 4 people has a disability in the United States. And so there are so many different kinds that we talk about. The umbrella is so wide. And when we talk about mental health, as we know, there are visible and invisible disabilities, and a disability is something that impacts your life on a daily basis. And so if someone has a severe life-threatening allergy, that could be considered a disability. They may not think they are disabled, they may not identify as that, but that's in that category. If someone is going through cancer treatment, that's in that category. If someone has autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, there's so much that is in this category, and it looks and feels different for each person. And so, again, going back, we used to say that we have people with disabilities, meaning people without disabilities, and that is still true. It is about building friendships and connection, and we do that. I'll talk about that more, but we do that through weekly ongoing programs where we connect our teen friends, we call them. Those are our teen volunteers. We don't tell them that they're volunteers. They know they are, but we don't use that word because we don't want them to come think they're being nice. They're not being kind. Those are good things, But a friendship circle, it's not what we promote. We promote being a friend, meeting someone new. You're being a friend, you're getting a friend. We are on equal playing field here. We do it differently, but we are all the same. And so the ability to really try and connect with someone, and at all of our weekly events and monthly events and community events, which is what's coming up in June, at all of those, each person in this sort of circle gets connected. So you have the kids and the teens who get connected. You have their siblings who are always invited on all ends to all events get connected. Parents, caregivers get to connect, different ages, different stages, different issues, different celebrations. And so this world of friendship actually starts to grow, these circles, friendship circles. And so that's what we do.
Love that. I love all of that information.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And I especially like a couple of points that you were pointing out about just sort of like bringing to light some things that maybe you don't necessarily know about as an observer of somebody's life. I think that's so important, like ongoingly and always, just to sort of emphasize that you might not necessarily know what's going on with this person, but it's good to sort of realize that everybody has their own situation happening, and just sort of like bringing people together from different worlds. I think that's great.
So much. So much. I mean, I'm also a mom of 5. I mentioned that in there. And I think like one of my big soapbox standing things have lately been, especially after the pandemic, has been like, you just don't know what people are going through. You can have this great family, these great kids, and everything is good. And like, it's hard. Day to day, things are rough. And so I think that, and even when things are going great, they could be challenging. And so if you add in a disability, if you add in whatever else is going on, it's true. And sometimes when you see somebody, I was just telling one of my kids, sometimes when you see somebody who's a wheelchair user, it's when something is more obvious, it's almost sometimes easier to be gentle and understanding and compassionate and careful and accommodating. But when you see someone who's walking and talking and they are, really struggling on the inside, or they kind of fall through the cracks because the systems or the accommodations aren't as obvious, sometimes those people are struggling even more than someone who you would think. So I agree with you.
Do you have, speaking of that, recommendations for how to sort of like break the ice on a conversation like that? If somebody maybe has I guess actually for either, I have a couple of kids myself, and I'm in that sort of stage where if my daughter points out somebody is in a wheelchair or something like that, I'm myself learning how to talk to her about talking to somebody about that. Do you have advice for how to speak to somebody about their particular disability, whether or not it is invisible or visible?
That's such a great question. And the truth is, it's really like everything else in our lives. I always feel like disability is sort of the easiest platform for inclusion because it's so obvious. And if you're not sort of inclusive of someone with a disability, you're kind of a jerk. So versus like all the other kinds of inclusion that we talk about it seems like have a lot more nuance. So if you kind of get it with disability, I feel like that's a great platform for all the other kinds of things we talk about in our lives. And like anything, really, what most people want is to be seen, heard, and understood. And so if you are in the grocery store and you see somebody in a wheelchair or someone with a prosthetic leg, we used to actually have a campaign that was like a hashtag just ask. Most people just want you to ask. Like, hey, I noticed that you're in a wheelchair. Or when your kid points, instead of shushing them and turning them to the side, which is what we all used to do, now just be like, this person's in a wheelchair. And so what I do with my kids, and it depends, sometimes you get different responses, but sometimes I'll say, yeah, why don't you ask them? Like, hey, why are you in a wheelchair? Or why is that thing sticking out? And you'll find that most people would love nothing more than the opportunity to explain and to talk. And sometimes they're like, I don't really want to talk to you today. That's okay. But what we have been teaching in best practice, and from the disability advocates, the self-advocates who have disabilities that I know and that I've spoken to as recently as 2 weeks ago when we had a friendship circle event, and I was giving my orientation to our teen friends who were new that day on how to interact with our friends with disabilities. A parent was standing there, and she was standing with her son who was a wheelchair user and who was nonverbal. And I said to her, is there anything I missed? Mom, tell me, did I miss something when I was talking to these kids? And she said to me, please ask. That's actually what she said. She said, please come to us and ask. We would love nothing more than to tell you, than to explain. We're so happy to answer questions. And that is the overwhelming response from my experience in the disability community, is just ask. Don't shy away. Tell your kid, yeah, it looks like maybe their legs aren't working as well as mine and yours. Why don't we ask them, like, why do you use this wheelchair? What is this cane you're holding? And you'll see. But it always feels like the best option, because then you give someone the chance to respond. They may not want to, but at least you've given them that dignity.
Yeah. And then if they don't want to, I feel like that's a great way to understand boundaries too. So it works either way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. I used to be, I was a special educator for 9 years.
Wow.
So I worked with that community. It's near and dear to my heart. And so when your name popped up, I was like, oh, I can't wait to talk to you all about this. So it's very exciting what you're doing with our community.
Appreciate that. Yeah. And it takes, it's not always for everyone. It's not always an easy space to be in. And I think that it also depends on your lens. I think a lot of people are fearful and they don't know, or they get
Mhm.
sad. So they don't know what to do. And they're like, it's good that you do that, but I could never. And I hear that a lot. And I think it's not so scary. You take away that, you just get to know someone. You're like, it's just a person. It's okay.
Yeah, and I mean, going back to the statistics, 1 in every 4 people have a disability. So, it just depends. So it's really not as scary as people think it is, I think. Yeah, it's just normal.
Yeah, just being human.
It's being human.
It's true. I was just on, I don't remember. I was just talking to somebody in this space. There's a disability advocate lives here in Richmond, who's actually on our friendship circle board, and a friend. His name is Matthew Shapiro. I'll give him a shout out. He's a great consultant and advocate, and he is a wheelchair user, and his company is called Six Wheels Consulting because his wheelchair has 6 wheels. And
Okay.
we were having a conversation, and he said, disability is probably the only minority that it will probably apply to everyone at some point in their life. Like it's the one that we all get into one way or the other, right? As we become senior citizens, as we get old, if you break your leg, if something happens, right? If your eyesight and you need glasses, like there's ways that we basically all gonna end up with hurt something.
Right. It's just the progress of your body, basically, one way or another.
And then learning how to accommodate and modify. I mean, like you said, we wear eyeglasses, I wear contacts. It's just an accommodation, that levels the playing field, if you will. So can you tell us about some of the programming that you have? You mentioned you do things weekly or monthly.
Sure. So as I mentioned, the whole goal is to bring people together. And if you meet someone like in a coffee shop, or you and I can talk on a podcast and we can connect, but meeting you in your house or having coffee and seeing you on a daily basis or getting together more intimately is a very different kind of relationship. And so one of our main programs is called Friends at Home. And that's where we pair 2 teen friends together with a friend with a disability, and they go into that child or young adult's home 1 hour a week throughout the entire school year. And they get to see each other in an intimate space. They get to be in their home. They get to see their pets, their siblings, good days, bad days. They really get, their Lego collection, whatever it might be. And you really get a very different experience. So Friends at Home is our favorite program. It is one of the ones that is the absolute hardest to run and manage because you're dealing with teen friends, you're dealing with the family, and then you're dealing with parents and scheduling, and it's awful. But it is really amazing because that is where the kids get these consistent ongoing connections. It's not a one hit wonder. We don't go and do something nice and then feel good and leave. It's ongoing, and it's really a friendship that develops. And we have some amazing stories and ongoing relationships that have lasted through those Friends at Home matches. Kids who have been together for a year, teens who changed their trajectory in college because of their experience with their new friend, or they left to college and they still meet their friend. And then the parents get to actually know each other. So we've had some really incredible relationships that have been built through Friends at Home. So that's an ongoing weekly program, again, challenging, but amazing. And then we have monthly programs where everyone kind of comes together, and we call those birthday circle. And that's so that all of our friends can celebrate a birthday with friends. So if you have kids, then you know that you do birthday parties around town in all different locations. So it's kind of like that, where we invite everyone. All of our programs are free. Every single thing that we do at Friendship Circle is free. And so we do adaptive rock climbing and horseback riding and Maymont Park and I don't know, all different things, trampoline parks and painting and whatever else every single month in a different place. And we do that, number one, because we want to bring people into the community. We want this experience in the community, inclusive. We don't want it in our offices, in our location, in our facility. So we do it out. And also we want to make sure that people get different experiences. And so there's been this benefit to birthday circles, which we didn't really know, which is if you have a family and they have a child with autism and 2 other siblings that don't have a disability, they all come to this event because we always invite siblings and families so they can come together. Not all programs are structured like that. So parents often have to split. So number one, they all get to come together. And number 2, if you're doing something like horseback riding or rock climbing and a kid has never tried that and they don't have to pay for it, they get to come. And if their child has a meltdown or really hates it after 10 minutes, like nothing lost. They get to turn around and they get to leave, and then they get to come back again next month and try the next thing. And we've had so many families that have said, like, I'm so grateful that we don't have to pay for these things because we've tried them in other places, or I didn't want to pay $50 for my whole family to go do this thing and then have to leave after 10 minutes. Right. So we're so grateful that we have these opportunities. So not only is Birthday Circle just a great fun celebration, it's actually giving opportunities for families and individuals to do different things. So that's our Birthday Circle. We have something called Friends with Pens, which has happened during the pandemic because everybody hates computers and Zoom. And so they got to actually write letters to a friend, like with paper and coloring and notes, and they got to open it in the mail. So we have that program. And that's a nice, easy way to get into Friendship Circle because it doesn't take too much and it's a good introduction. So there's that. And then we have a new program called Senior Circle that we're trying to do. I mentioned Friends at Home, kind of the same idea, but with seniors. So we're actually now looking to recruit adult volunteers, and they go into the home or living facility of a senior citizen and do the same thing, meet with them on an ongoing basis, develop friendship and connection. And then we do these community events. And the community events is kind of the segue into what we're here for today. But the community events, and again, really, really proud of Friendship Circle for being able to kind of have that umbrella in the sense of doing it for a community. We did it because not everyone has someone that they know of in their family that has a disability. They may not have a teenager in their community or their family. So why should they care about Friendship Circle? Sounds great, but not really pertaining to me. And so we make, obviously, like every good nonprofit, we have a walk and roll, fully accessible, great, fun, free event. And then we also have some new events. One of them is called the Disability Expo. And that is basically, if you think of like a car show where you get to go see all the things and touch them and try them. For disabilities, there's pockets of that. And as we mentioned, from birth all the way through senior citizens, disability is such a huge umbrella. Mental health, physical needs, emotional, like there's so much. And so bringing the for-profits and nonprofits in Richmond together to have everything under one roof, at least once a year, where families, caregivers, individuals with disabilities can go and see all the things that are available, or some of them. So we're going into our third year coming up in January. It's growing, and that's been really exciting. And then coming up, we have Inclusion Day of the Diamond. And that is a really exciting piece, which is, I'll talk about in a second, but that's our other one. And so we have these big community events where we really try to bring together the disability community and make those connections and collaborations in the community. And then we have our individual programs. And there's more coming up, a young adult division. We're trying to do a sibling circle for siblings of kids with disabilities to have their own space and their own time. We try to do parent groups or get-togethers. Those ones we're working on still. Parents have a hard time getting away, but some other really great opportunities coming.
That kind of leads us in. So we are going to get your faves on what to eat, drink, see, and do in RVA. So do you have a favorite for where to eat in Richmond?
I personally love Ginger Juice and North End Juice Company. I'm a big acai bowl person, and so those are my two go-tos. There's a specific one at North End that I love, and they have really good like avocado toast at Ginger Juice. So those are my two go-tos.
I do love ginger juice. I have done like juice cleanses there. I've done like their bowls are my favorite there. Yeah.
They have a peanut butter punch one. That's one of the ones that's my go-to. And then it's one of the few places actually, if you're looking in these kinds of places to eat, it's one of the few places that does avocado toast, but they also have gluten-free options. A lot of places.
Oh.
And so if anybody needs gluten-free, they're very good at that. So I appreciate it.
Now we know.
Yeah, I need to get over there. It's been a minute. All right. And then up next is drink. And I see it's just coffee.
It is always, I'll go a little more into it. It's always just coffee. I do a ton of coffee. I really love Cafe Espresso, which is a great little Italian shop. And the owner is wonderful. And it's kind of right near my house in a tiny little strip mall. You would never expect a great coffee shop in there, but their coffee is really, really good. So I love Cafe Espresso. And if you want me to talk about other drinks, I can mention too.
I don't think I've ever heard of Cafe Espresso.
I was going to say I hadn't, but if you have other drink recommendations, we'll take them all.
I will tell you all of them. There's so many. I get out so much with all of the things that I do. I have so many things that I love to do. I'm being very facetious in case you missed that. Cafe Espresso is great. I'm happy to give them a shout out. They're lovely. And they have kind of like it's a very non-chain kind of place. It feels like you're walking into a local place. Like I said, the owner's Italian. It's an Italian shop. They've got Italian coffee and they do a really great job. It feels really homey. It is in like the Patterson and Gaskins intersection. There's I don't know if you guys know, what is it called? Vital? They have like the consignment shop that just moved in there.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, some really cool little shops in there, but there's also like a 7-Eleven. Like it doesn't look like it's going to be a great coffee shop, but it's great. It's pocketed kind of in there. And actually, going off of that, there's also a drink place. I realized a friend of mine recently we've been kind of getting together here, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to just get out and chat for a little bit?" And so we'll like take a drive. And in Gayton Crossing, which is also near Patterson and Gaskins area, there is a place that I always forget is there because you don't see it. And it's like a crepe and drinks place. And it's in the corner. There's a new place there called Kid Strong that has like a kids exercise and really awesome, some fun stuff in Gate and Crossing Shopping Center. And literally like in the corner where the two walls meet, there's a door that you'll totally miss. And you walk in and it's got this cute little bar and there's a restaurant behind it. And so the bookcase opens and you can order crepes from the other place and they have good drinks. And it's just a tiny little weird place in the middle of nowhere. That's fun.
It's the Verdant Lady.
That's it.
That's the bar. And then it's the Lace Crepes next door.
There you go. So that's the one.
Amazing. I do love the Verdant Lady. That's a fun little speakeasy. Oh yeah. I know everywhere. Typically.
Just like unassuming place is the best, I think.
Same. I will say also, there's also a place that sometimes I like to go just to get a drink, which is Portico, which is actually a restaurant. So
yes.
And I actually also keep kosher, so I don't actually do a ton of eating out. So some of those other places I mentioned have like kosher options. But Portico is just a really nice ambiance to just go get a drink and sit down and enjoy. I love that place.
Yeah, I think we just included them on either maybe our patio roundup of like a nice place to be out, like in these nicer temperatures. So all great recommendations.
Absolutely.
I feel better because when I got the list and you were like, these are the questions we're going to ask you before this thing, I was like, way to make a mom of 5 who works, totally inept. And you're like, tell me what your hobbies are and tell me what you do in your free time. And I'm like, nothing. I have no hobbies and I don't do anything in my free time.
But this happened too with the owner and founder of Latched Mama had the same thing. And then she gave us like 50 recs. So I don't know. I think you're bearing the lead. Well, then how about for C? What did you put for C?
For C, C was harder. And I was we were going through that document actually. And I was like, the truth is what I really want to see that I don't get very often is sunsets. It's actually like my favorite thing. And in Richmond, it's really hard, especially where I am in the West End. It's hard to find a good place to see a sunset. So sometimes I'll like drive out to Patterson because you can see west. But I just got a good recommendation from a friend as I was talking about this. She told me that if you go to the Shortcut Mall, and you go towards the Macy's that's a little bit higher up on the second floor, you can get this magnificent sunset. And I was like, okay, that's good to know. So that's kind of my very weird answer about what to see.
No, I can see where that location would lend itself well to like getting up a little bit and then seeing out. We, of course, love very like city-centric ones. Libby Hill Park is one of my favorites, or a lot of the parks over in Churchill, I feel like give you a great view. I don't know. Do you have a favorite, Paige?
I love doing like a golden hour walk across the Belle Isle pedestrian bridge. And that sunset is always so beautiful. I don't know. And I love to just see our city all golden. It's beautiful.
So going back to mom and lots of free time that I don't have, which is that when I'm looking for sunset, it's like the worst time. It's always like right
oh yeah.
And so like,
and you only have but so much time.
Right.
So driving a half an hour to Belle Isle or to downtown just never happens. So that's why like driving to Patterson is sort of like
right. It like sometimes does coincide right with that witching hour for some families too. Not always work it out, but in case you get out on your own, here's some good recommendations.
Those are great recommendations. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try.
Yes.
And then of course for Do, why don't we wrap up with what we were sort of nodding to up at the top with the upcoming event that you guys are putting on in June.
I appreciate that. I'll mention the event and then I'll mention the Do because they kind of go together. So the event that is coming up, which is super exciting, is called Disability Inclusion Day at the Diamond. And Friendship Circle hosts this event. We partner with the Flying Squirrels. It is presented by Fastmart. Fastmart is if you've seen the convenience stores at some of the gas stations, but they also have a larger company. And they have been with us since we started this almost, I think this is the 4th year ago. And it was actually kind of their idea, like do this and go big. They actually really pushed this. So we're very grateful to Fastmart for being a partner on this. And then we have 8 this year, and actually now 9 other sponsors that their logos are on the 10,000 free tickets that we give out for this event. It is called Disability Inclusion Day at the Diamond because what we try to do on this day is make the Diamond, and if you've been there, you know that it's not as great as it can be related to accessibility, and we'll just leave it at that. It's not as good as it could be, which is why we're getting a new stadium. Yep. But they really work with us and try and do the best that we can with what we have. And so these sponsors come on to make this day possible. On every one of those 10,000 free tickets that we give away, those logos, those companies and those nonprofits that have their logo on there who are a major part of this day are part of that. They're part of all of our marketing because it's so important for the disability community and the rest of the community to see people and organizations and businesses really get behind supports and accommodations. And so on this day, Friendship Circle has different supports that we put in place to make this day available, not just free tickets and free entry. We work with over 130, I want to say, disability organizations, but anyone can get tickets. If you go onto inclusiondayrva.com. You can sign up to get your free tickets. And when you sign up, if you need an accessible ticket, it'll give you all these options. Do you have a seizure disorder? Do you need a wheelchair friendly space? Do you need a nut free space? Do you need closed captioning on your cell phone? Do you need auditory visual? Like there's tons of accommodations that we ask people that if they need, they register, and then we provide those at the ballpark. So if you've been there, there's like a third base picnic area. And so we actually pay to take over that whole picnic area and we make it a sensory friendly space. So there's lower speaker volumes. We have little tents that have blockout areas, and we have fine motor skills and jumping things, a lot of different things. We actually have some groups coming this year, like Bricks and Minifigs, and we have the Atlee Robotic Club, and they do little shows in there and kind of work with the people that come through. And of course, as everything related to disability inclusion, it's not just for people with disabilities. If you've ever been to a baseball game with a little kid, it is relatively a nightmare to sit in that chair for so long. And so there's amazing how many people come out to these spaces and take advantage of what we offer, because usually if it's good for someone with a disability, it's good for everyone. That's usually kind of the going phrase. But we do all of these amazing accommodations and supports for that day. And it's incredible to come out. The Diamond has suites, and they've helped us reach out to the suite owners, and we asked them in advance, can you donate your suite on that day so that we can increase wheelchair accessibility or heat sensitive spaces? And so we put more individuals in those suites, because on this day we get, with the tickets that we buy or the tickets that we have as part of the sponsorship, there's 35 wheelchair accessible seats. Imagine if you're opening this up to the entire Richmond community, you can imagine there's more than 35 people that need a wheelchair accessible seat. And there's only like a folding chair next to those seats. So if you have a family of 5, you get one person next to the person in the wheelchair, everybody else goes somewhere else. Like it's all not super ideal. And so these suites and the accommodations that the Squirrels work really heavily with us to do are just amazing. So if you come out there on this day, not only do you see a ton of people with disabilities and the typical community members all coming together. We have people singing the national anthem this year. Last year was Shay Wynn from American Idol. If you know, she's legally blind. Oh, wow. She was amazing. We've had her for 2 years in a row. This year we're working with a gentleman named George Dennehy, and he was born without arms, and he plays guitar with his feet. So there will be 2 mics at this event. I'm actually looking forward to seeing this. And he will be singing the national anthem and playing guitar. And then we have people on the field during the event, during the game, that have disabilities. It's a very important opportunity to kind of highlight that the disability community is here, and we are as a community coming together to support as much as we can to make sure everyone has the opportunity to participate. And I know I'm talking a long time, we're over time, but can I say like 2 more things?
Yes, go for it.
I just want to mention our sponsors out loud, if that's okay, because they make this possible. It costs a lot of money to put this on, and we can't do it without them. So I just really want to give credit where credit is due. So I'll mention them first. I mentioned Fastmart as the presenting sponsor. We also have on those tickets that will go out, Allianz Partners, Capital One, Dominion Care, just came on like literally 2 days ago, Genworth, the Jewish Community Federation of Richmond, Markel, QTS Data Centers, Rudland Torah Academy, Jewish Day School, UPS store at Grayton Crossing. They've been wonderful partners. And so we have some other additional smaller sponsorships from Dominion Energy and Centera, which we're very grateful for. But all of these guys really come together because obviously this is important to them. It's important to their staff and their teams. And we really want to thank them. For anybody who's thinking about coming to this event, I just want to share that we've had so many families who have come over to us, and they've come to this event because of the free ticket and the accommodations. And they were really nervous. And they said, we've never been able to go to any game, let alone a baseball game, because of my son with autism, or because I have it, or for whatever other reasons. And they came to this event, and we had families, like we have quotes that and responses like, this is the first time we've done this. We now know that we can try it again. My entire family finally got to do something together for the first time. My kid, who I thought was not going to last 5 minutes, spent 2 hours in the blackout tent in the sensory area, but we were there. We were at a baseball game for 2 hours. And so this is an opportunity, not just for the community to come together and to highlight and to see it in action is just, it's amazing. But to really highlight the importance, and so as much accommodations as we can do, we do. And we really hope that people take advantage of it. Get your free tickets, inclusiondayrva.com. Come out, show support, volunteer. We always need volunteers on that day. So there's a great opportunity, and come join it. The spirit, the energy that day is amazing. And we're hoping to have, I'm not going to say it out loud because I don't know if it's going to happen yet, but we're hoping to have political figures come to this event and to show how important it is also for the Commonwealth. And that actually goes back to the do. I think that here in Richmond, what I am so grateful to be able to get to do, I was just at the governor's mansion this past week, and it is not the first time in the last couple of months that I have seen the governor. He probably wouldn't know me if you asked him, but at least there's a familiarity in the sense that community members really get to make changes in Richmond. And so when it comes to do, it's not so much about the city, which is wonderful and there's lots to do. It's about being able to be a member of the community that can make changes and where your voice is heard and where you get access to things that in bigger cities, you don't always have that kind of meaningful connection. I served on the state board for people with disabilities. And if you live in a huge city, you don't always get those opportunities. So having that and being able to potentially have the governor or first lady at the baseball game would be amazing. We'll see if that's going to work out. But just being involved in spaces where you can really make a difference, your voice is heard. It's really what kind of ties all of this together. So that's what I love about Richmond.
No, I love it. And I think Paige and I would say for the Richmond experience too, of course, we like focus a lot on all of the bars and restaurants and all of that stuff in the area. But another part of our organization is to like emphasize these other like community wide organizations that are really just about getting people like out and about and meeting each other. So we're delighted to have you on. And thank you so much for sharing so much about this event and the organization. And I hope people get a chance to look into it. It's all so exciting. We can also, I don't think we mentioned this at the top, but before we wrap up, officially say that you can find more information on Facebook at Friendship Circle of Virginia, on Instagram at Friendship Circle VA, or on TikTok at Friendship Circle VA as well, for more information on the organization and the event. But thank you so much, Dr. Kranz-Ciment. We're so happy to have you here.
Thank you.
And one more thing, I do want to mention that Disability Inclusion Day at the Diamond is on Sunday, June 29th, and it starts at 1:35 p.m. So.
Yes. And thank you for that. And also, it is true, if you want to come out, we have general admission tickets. So if you don't need accommodation, you can come out, pick up your free tickets at the gate. It's just a really great event. So I really, again, from our Friendship Circle, from our team, thank you guys to hosting and for sharing this and for highlighting Friendship Circle and the opportunity for people to get involved and to come out and just have a good time. We appreciate that. So nice meeting you, and thank you for all you do. I appreciate that.
Thanks for listening, Richmond. And by the way, there's more where that came from. Joining the Richmond Experience as a member is the best way to stay in the know about what's going on in RVA.
Not to worry, we refuse to sell your info or bombard you with ads, but we do charge a small annual membership fee of $39 a year to fund our team so we can keep doing this awesome work. Plus, a portion of each annual membership purchase for the Richmond Experience goes to rotating nonprofits each month. That's like $1 per week to get an all-access pass to the best of RVA and lift up local orgs. It's a really, really good deal, friends. And listen, what are friends for anyway? Use code CHATTER to get $10 off your first year subscription.
Give us a follow on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at The Richmond Experience, and on Instagram at The Chatter and RVA too. And if you enjoyed this episode, send it to your buds, rate, review, and subscribe.
And if you want to keep up with each of us, you can find me at Kelsey Heinz's Typing on Instagram.
And me, Sips and Trips with Paige on Instagram.
Chat with you next week, RVA.